My PhD advisor told me my research was worthless. Then, behind my back, he tried to publish it under his own name. So I did the only reasonable thing. I exposed him with a $5 yard sign, right in front of hundreds of parents every single day. If you've ever been disrespected by someone in power, if you've ever wanted justice without breaking a single rule, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and settle in. Because this story proves you don't need money or authority to win. You just need the truth. I used to think earning a PhD was about intelligence. Turns out it's mostly about endurance. And my advisor, he was an endurance test disguised as a human being. From the outside he was respected, published, tenured, the kind of professor whose name carried weight in academic circles. But behind closed doors he was a master of control. He dangled graduation like a carrot on a string, always close enough to see, never close enough to grab. Every semester the goalposts moved. You just need one more experiment, one more revision, one more year. And every time I believed him. Because when you're a grad student, your entire future depends on one person signing off. You don't argue. You don't push back. You survive. By the time I realized what was happening, my funding clock was ticking loudly in my head. Hard deadline. No extensions. No mercy. And my advisor knew it. That's when I made the most painful decision of my academic life. I walked away from the PhD. I took my master's degree and prepared to leave. It felt like failure, like swallowing glass, but I told myself it was better than being trapped forever as cheap labor for a man who saw me as disposable. Except, he wasn't done with me. Even after I officially stopped working for him, the emails kept coming. Can you run this analysis? Quick question about your data. Just need a small favor. Unpaid. Uncredited. Endless. Then came the moment that changed everything. I found out, through a colleague, not through him, that my advisor was preparing to publish my research. The same research he had looked me in the eye and said wasn't even good enough for a master's degree. I remember sitting there, staring at my laptop, feeling heat rise from my chest into my face. My hands were shaking, not with rage yet, but disbelief. So I did what academia teaches you to do. I wrote a calm, polite email. I explained that the work was mine, that I had sole ownership, and that he did not have permission to publish it. There would be no paper, no credit, no theft. He didn't respond. Instead, he reported me. I got an email from the university's Research Integrity Office. Formal, cold, accusatory. They claimed the university owned my work, that I was obstructing scholarship, that I could face consequences. They spoke with confidence, the kind meant to scare you into compliance. But fear turned into focus. I pulled the actual university policy, line by line, page by page. And there it was in black and white. They were lying. I replied with citations, screenshots, exact clauses. I dismantled their argument calmly and professionally. Silence followed. Then, quietly, the publication was blocked. That's when things got personal. I lived off campus, just a short walk from the university. And suddenly, my advisor started taking very specific walks. Past my house. Slowly. Daring. Mean mugging like a cartoon villain who'd lost his plan. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. But it kept happening. Same time. Same pace. Same look. A look that said, "You embarrassed me." That's when an idea formed. It wasn't dramatic, or illegal, or expensive. I drove to Walmart. $5. Fluorescent poster board. Black marker. 2 stakes. The sign said, Professor Steele's graduate student research. I placed it neatly in my yard. What I hadn't fully appreciated was the location. My house sat directly across from an elementary school pickup line. Every weekday afternoon, hundreds of cars crawled past at a standstill. Parents, teachers, community members, all with nothing to do but read my sign. The reaction was immediate. My advisor lost his mind. He stopped in front of my house to take pictures. Furious, red-faced. Then he came back with his wife, pointing like he was showing her a crime scene. One afternoon I pulled into my driveway and there he was, waiting. He started screaming. Not academic outrage. Not professional concern. Pure unfiltered rage. I recorded everything. That just made him angrier. So he escalated. He teamed up with a department chair. Two grown men with PhDs acting like comic book villains who'd just been foiled by a yard sign. Plan A. Bully me into taking it down. Didn't work. First Amendment. Plan B. Call the cops and claim my sign was a threat and that I might have firearms. Didn't work. Apparently, expressing facts on cardboard doesn't justify a SWAT raid. Plan C. I can only assume involved a soldier and a dramatic speech because by that point they were out of ideas. What they did have was spite. My advisor would run into me while I walked my dog, muttering insults under his breath. He'd spot me at bars and scream obscenities like a man unraveling in public. And every time, I recorded the university's response. They weren't mad at him. They were mad at me for having the audacity to document it. But here's the thing. I never touched him. Never threatened him. Never lied. All I did was tell the truth. On a sign. For $5. In front of hundreds of cars. Every single. Eventually the walk stopped. The yelling stopped. The emails stopped. And for the first time in years, I felt something I hadn't felt throughout my entire graduate program. I didn't destroy his career. I didn't need to. I let his behavior speak for itself. And the best part. Every time a car slowed down to read that sign. Every time he had to explain it to someone. Every time he saw his reputation crack just a little. That was justice. Power only works when people stay silent. The moment you stop being afraid and start documenting the truth, the balance shifts. Sometimes the most effective revenge isn't loud. It's visible. If this story hit home, smash that like button. Subscribe for more real-life revenge stories where justice actually wins. And tell me in the comments, what's the pettiest, most satisfying revenge you've ever seen?